to the vPhase International Health Conference, and I'm one of the CEOs here.
Hello guys, my name is Xavier, and I'm also one of the CEOs for vPhase Body Cleanse. Just like to say welcome to everybody and thank you very much for taking the time out to be here. The aim of this conference is to see how everybody as a team can assist each other and help each other to create as much positive change in the world as humanly possible, regardless of how large or small that is. Obviously on the basis of a lot of the things that are happening at the moment in the world, things are moving quite fast. There are a lot of disasters, etc. So we believe that it's really super important for us all to start being a lot more organized and working together. So that is the aim of this. We are going to have a range of speakers. I will also be speaking as well. And so we're going to be talking about the topics of obviously coronavirus, which is obviously the talk of the town at the moment, and also 5G technology as well. So that is the aim of today. And at the end, we're going to be talking about how we can possibly assist everybody on this call to collaborate with vPhase in some way, so we can all also help each other to propagate this message and to create a lot of positive change.
So, being that Jody's going to be our first speaker, I just want to make sure that everybody takes the time to make sure that you're muted. We're going to also make sure that you're muted as well, and that you set aside the time to actually pay attention to all the information that's given to you.
Because there will be a test at the end.
Yes, there will actually.
Yeah. So I'm joking.
Yes, and you will be shunned. Okay. And but there's just going to be a lot of helpful information here, and we also want to hear your feedback and your questions at the end of this. So this is why we need you to stay around and tell us who you are and what you do at the end of this. Okay, so you know where you can fit in. Yeah. All right. So without further ado.
Right, so for our first amazing speaker, it is Mr. Jody Deane, who's just introduced himself. And I'll allow Jody to introduce his topic that he's going to be talking about today. And then immediately after, we're going to be hearing from Tracie Randolph, and also her mother, Regina Randolph, as well, who looks very glamorous, I might say. And so they're going to be telling us all about their personal story to do with coronavirus. So, without further ado, take it away, Jody.
Can you hear me? Just wave. Yeah, okay, great. So I need to go through that again. So what has toxicity got to do with a virus? Well, to be honest, this presentation is more heavily weighted towards toxicity because I'm no virologist, but I do know a significant amount about health, well-being, toxicity, and detoxification. I do have an agenda, and the agenda is to educate you about my viewpoint. And I try to think as much holistically as possible. Okay, so let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah, you good with that? You want to get down to the nitty-gritty? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so, oh, there we go. It's the coronavirus. Well, or is it, right? It's something that we've been shown in the media a lot, this image, right? This image of this thing, this little ball with pins in it, almost like a pin cushion or something. And that is, it's the corona around it. So they call it the coronavirus. Okay, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go into deep around viruses and stuff, because that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. And there are differing opinions. And it seems that science over time has changed its opinion about what a virus is. It's this kind of like mini microorganism, but is it, or is it just chemicals? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to go there, but I'd say that there's a lot in there to look at, especially some of the new research coming out from the National Institute of Health, as talked about by an author called, I think it's Charles Eisenstein and Sayagyi. Anyway, hit me up if you want more about that. Petruvian Man. So that is this wonderful drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, which is in the top right. And that is one thing that I feel like symbolizes like the poetry of the human being and the divine symmetry and the divine geometry of everything, and how everything can interrelate and in balance. And that actually the human being is not some random coming together of forces from some random crazy chemical reaction on the planet 4 million years ago, but actually there's a lot more complexity and brilliance and intelligence to all life and the human being as well. And the other symbol is the yin and yang, which is a wonderful symbol of balance, which is what we all need, or some of us anyway. I know I do. And yeah, it's right. It's that sense of push and pull, and oh no, oh, back this way, back that way. Okay, so now I'm going to go into toxins in the body, a list. Okay, so because I'm talking about toxicity, let's just dig deep and go for it, right? So, okay, whether you're aware of this or not, glyphosate, which is Roundup, which is made by Monsanto Bayer, is the primary fertilizer, no, herbicide in the world, and it is now has been classed as a probable carcinogen. So you can ascertain that it probably definitely is a carcinogen if it's been termed a probable carcinogen. Anyway, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's toxic and it gives you cancer, and it is basically a poison. I mean, it poisons plants and it also poisons creatures, animals, organisms. So where is it? Well, if you look, and you don't have to look that far for the research, it's in pretty much everything these days. And to an extent where it's crazy amounts. I mean, there's this woman called the Food Babe, Vani Hari. She did a research about seven years ago or something in supermarket products, and she found levels up to 1,000 times over what's considered to be the healthy limit. There's the safe for health limit in certain food products that you and I have all eaten, and maybe continuing to eat. So 1,000 times the safe limit, right? That was 7 years ago. I have no idea what it's like today. It's probably worse. So anyway, just to give you an idea that glyphosate is everywhere, and it's basically poisonous. And so it's in the foods. It's obviously, if it's in our food, then it's in our water, because that obviously gets recycled back through the sewage system into the water systems. And if you live in a city like London, for example, the average amount of water that comes through your tap has gone through 7 different people through its cycles in the water table. So that's why I put this is huge without being sensational. Right, what else? Heavy metals from like lead, for example, comes from exhaust fumes, mercury from the dental, you know, if you've got fillings and everything, and vaccines, of course, and other sources as well, which, you know, don't have time for right now. Aluminium, another heavy metal, get that from the environment, get it from cooking. Yay. You know, if you use aluminium cooking utensils or the insides of certain cartons, and, you know, it turns up in all sorts of places. Cadmium, barium. You also get these aerosolized. I don't know if you've heard of chemtrails, but they're real. They have been admitted as well officially. So that's something that's being sprayed on us, certainly in populations. So it's a heavy metal. It's not very good for you. Something to worry about. Okay, pharmaceutical drugs, Prozac, Xanax, etc., birth control, etc., beta blockers, metformin for diabetes, statins for controlling or supposedly controlling heart disease and, you know, circulation issues, etc. In the water, goes through people out into the water. You know, it's just so, you know, obviously the studies have been done on this, and these particulates have been found, you know, to varying degrees depending on the filtration systems and everything in wherever you are in the world. And, you know, if you're in the highlands of Scotland or the Sahara Desert, there's going to be much less of some chemicals and much more of others. So yes, more toxins. Oh my God, Jody, stop, please. I can't take it anymore. I feel so toxic already. Cleaning fluids. I read a recent article about how cleaners are getting a lot of cancers from the gases and the outgas from the fluids they're using and the chemicals. It's nasty stuff. So probably what you've got in your home, unless you've made a conscious decision to go completely bio, it's going to be in your home too. Furniture, carpets, they outgas these toxins as well, these toxic gases. Electronics, I don't know if anyone knows, but your computer that you're using, your phone, actually makes a chemical reaction with the air on the processors, and it gases certain toxic chemicals. Not good, I know. And of course, it's not just in your home, it's around workplace, around town, wherever. Any building, really. Hair dye, oh my God, yeah. So this goes into the water supply, and it's very toxic and carcinogenic. Not good. Body care products, same deal. In the water. Chlorine, or I've put chlorine there. I saw my own typo before anyone else did. Fluoride, what's it? Fluoride in the water. Again, chlorine is quite poisonous in large quantities. It's not good. Fluoride, we've heard the research about how it calcifies the pineal gland, among many other things. Not good in the water as well, for a lot of places, not everywhere, of course, thank God. EMS, not strictly a toxin, but definitely a chemical, an environmental pollutant, right? From your smartphones, computers, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, and oh my God, 5G, it's coming, or it's already here, depending on it. There's research out there, guys. You know, if you look beyond what is the watchdog status, there's plenty more. So just look into that, because it does affect biological life. Not quite the same as toxins, but different, yeah. Okay, so toxicity symptoms. Well, diseases are toxicity symptoms. Ailments, toxicity symptoms. I mean, I'm putting this to you. You don't have to agree with me. Please do your own research about this, because we could spend months looking at all this stuff, you know, all the correlations and everything. But I'm just hoping to be a pointer in your direction. Infections, are they toxicity symptoms? Right, question there. Cancers, oh, are they toxicity symptoms? I wonder. Something to think about, something to research about. Acidity in the body. Some of you may come across the understanding around the pH balance of the body and maintaining that balance. The blood particularly. So when we're more acid, we tend to have more symptoms. This is something that's been covered famously by Dr. Robert O. Young, and he's written several books about that. A very interesting guy. Got a lot from him. Anyway, obviously I can give you notes and links and everything else if you ask for them. So, but that's very much about that acidity, and then using your diet particularly to get back into alkalinity. Cleansing really helps with that, obviously. A raw food diet or a vegan diet, so lots of vegetables, fruits, whatever works for you. But you know that those alkaline forming foods are out there, and they will have an effect on your pH. So yeah, more symptoms: depression, of the toxicity, right? Depression. So some of you may be familiar with that. Anxiety, headaches. I had a headache on Monday. I am detoxifying at the moment. So I can relate to that myself. And again, it's just something to bear in mind and do your own research about, because it's a very limited time for doing this talk. In fact, I don't even know how long I've got now, but let me know. Is that for me in the chat? I don't know. Can't see. Anyway, so coming into balance. When the body is sick, it is out of balance and trying to get back into balance. So that's what I'm proposing. So disease starting with dis-ease. Okay, so when things are out of balance, there's a lack of ease. So the question is for you, are symptoms the result of the body trying to regain balance? What do you think? What, and then moving on from that, what are virus symptoms? Have a think about what virus symptoms are. the symptoms, you know, that we all know, right? At the moment, if you've been watching the news the last 2 months, you'll know what the symptoms of the COVID-19 are, as opposed to perhaps the symptoms of the flu or a cold. So that's something to think about. Like, so the symptoms, what are they? Oh, right, okay, interesting. Take note. And then another question for you: which segments of the population statistically gets more symptoms than others? So, in general, it's been the elder population. So then you might, okay, question why? Why do they get it? Well, because they're not as strong. Well, why aren't they as strong? Right? Oh, well, because, yeah, good question. Why aren't they? Well, they're old. Yeah, but okay, they're old, but why are they? So what's going on? So is it the nutrition they're having? Is it not having enough nutrition? Are they, maybe, do they have a lot of toxins in the body? Something to think about. So then, are they toxic? Are the symptoms coming from the toxicity? Questions.
Just 1 minute left, Jody, okay?
Fabulous, thank you. Coming to the end. So these are questions. I'm not telling you this is the truth. I'm just wanting to be someone who goes, hey, have to think about this, because I've done some thinking and research around it over my 30 years of adulthood and or semi-adulthood. We're not going to talk about the teens as well, but I got into self-healing when I was 12, and I read in a book, disease starts with disease, and I was like, oh my God, that is so interesting. I must investigate. And it's just been a journey since then, really looking into all of this and you know, weighing up different. I studied health science as well at university for a while, learned a lot about all the contributing factors to health and disease, and the sociology and psychology around it as well, the scientific revolutions, etc., etc. So these are questions I would like you to think about, and probably the most important for what we're talking about today as well is the famous quote by Hippocrates, who was the father of medicine. Every doctor swears their oath to Hippocrates to become a doctor. All disease begins in the gut. Oh my God, who'd have thought it? He said that. He said that. Really? Oh my God. What authority does he have? Well, it's only the father of medicine, guys. So take it or leave it. But up to you to make your own, you know, to come to your own decisions about that. I just put it out there. It's a continuing place of investigation for me, and I'm diving deep. And yeah, think what the guts do, and you know, food in and what comes out of the elimination system, right, is to do with toxicity, right? Okay, well, interesting. Okay, so how could this virus be? Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Always, you know, ask questions. So that was me. That was my talk. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Jody.
Thank you so much, Jody. That was awesome, actually.
That is cool. And I posted up something about Hippocrates yesterday. So we must be, we must be on the same wavelength with that. You say Hippocrates, right? Yeah. Okay. Tomato, tomato, yeah.
Tomato, tomato, yeah, exactly.
I was like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Awesome.
Okay,
thank you. That is a very bold statement too, and a really very serious statement. All disease begins in the gut.
Well, and it's true.
Yes, very true.
It's absolutely true, which we'll be talking a lot more about later on.
Yeah.
So let's jump in with Tracie Randolph.
So I'm going to start off just kind of with my story a little bit, only because it kind of piggybacks off of what Jody just talked about. So I am a cancer survivor, and I had breast cancer, found out I had breast cancer back in 2012. And after that, started doing a lot of research around nutrition and environment, because I couldn't understand why I actually got breast cancer. And the only thing that I could think of was food and environment. I didn't live a crazy lifestyle. So I was like, what is happening to me that allowed my body to accept cancer? So when I met Charlie in Alaska and understood the ingredients in vPhase, it was great because I wanted to be able to clean out my gut, to clear my body, to release my body of that toxicity. And Jody mentioned in his presentation that cancer is one of those items that's, you know, part of the toxicity that happens in your body, or the result of the toxicity in your body, rather. So I was trying to figure out, you know, what was going on. And then to meet these two wonderful people and this great product that they have was just exciting for me, because I tried cleanses in the past and they just didn't do it. If they didn't make me sick, they weren't really cleaning me out. So you definitely recognize a difference when you're going through vPhase body cleanse and what comes out of you and what's released from your body. So now I am in remission, but I have taken the steps to ensure that I'm doing the best that I can to ensure that my body's in a place of wellness, complete wellness for my body. So I just wanted to say that because it piggybacked off of what Jody was just talking about. But when you get into the coronavirus, I'm actually going to let Mommy speak and tell her side of it, because she actually experienced coronavirus directly. She went to the hospital and she took the test for coronavirus and was actually diagnosed with coronavirus. So I want her to talk about what she experienced.
Good afternoon. It was a challenging situation. I was tested positive with the coronavirus in March. I went to the hospital, about 4 days later, I contracted it from a friend. And I went to the hospital, and Tracie asked me the day that I went to the hospital. I might get a little full on this, so you have to excuse me.
It's okay,
my daughter asked me, please, whatever you do, do not let them keep you in the hospital, Mommy. Let them send you home. So I said to the nurse at the hospital, after she had finished examining me, completed the examination, I said, would it be all right for me to quarantine myself at home? She said, yes. When I got home, Tracie introduced me to the vPhase cleanse. And I have been taking it ever since. Luckily, if I had not taken the vPhase cleanse, I don't know what would have happened. I've had 5 family members leave within a course of a week. 3 that went into the hospital and 2 did not. If they had been introduced to this cleanse, detox cleanse, before that, I believe that they will still be here. I'm grateful for the cleanse. I am still taking the cleanse. Maybe not every day, but since I've been better, I've been taking, which I probably should, but I've been taking it like 3 days a week, like every other day. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my daughter for having me come back home. And I'm just grateful because it worked. It worked.
So why don't you tell them what you were experiencing before you actually took the cleanse, like the symptoms that you had?
The symptoms that I had were flu-like symptoms, but I suffer with numerous illnesses or complications of the body that it was a pain that I've never experienced before. I have back problems, but it was a back pain that I have never experienced before. And the problem was, I said, now this is a pain that I'm not familiar with. I need to get out of here. Other than that, I probably would have stayed home. But I had the flu-like symptoms for 3 days, which I thought I could work on myself, knowing that I had the medicine for flu. But then when I got to the hospital and was tested positive, then I knew I had to do something different. Now, what I'm experiencing now, after being quarantined after the virus, I'm getting headaches and I'm getting anxiety attacks. Don't know where it's coming from, but that's what I'm experiencing now. That's not an everyday occurrence, but I'm getting them.
But so I just want to go into that a little bit, because you just shared something with me last night. So my mom lives in a building with, I don't know how many units are in that building, but there's a lot of.
It's 180.
Okay. So there are a lot of seniors in her building. And last night she just mentioned that she found out that there were 4 people now in that building that have passed away. The hospital let her know that it was about 65% of people that they said tested positive with the coronavirus in that building.
Yes.
My uncle actually lived in the same building as well, who unfortunately did not recover from corona. He stayed in the hospital and did not come out. But I wanted to also give some of the numbers here in New Jersey. I pulled the numbers in New Jersey and New York in particular, just because these have been like hotbed areas for corona. So this is what they are reporting, right, for coronavirus. So here in New Jersey, 7,742 deaths, they're saying, out of 124,000 confirmed cases. And in New York, they're saying it's 18,909 deaths out of 313,000 cases. And then worldwide, 258,000 deaths, they're saying, out of a reported 3.6 million cases. Now, we definitely live in an area that had a very high rate. We're in Bergen County, New Jersey. So our county was one of the first counties that they declared had positive cases in New Jersey of the coronavirus. So, Jody had that question out there of coronavirus, or what is this? I just wanted to mention that this, whatever it is, because I'm not convinced that necessarily it's coronavirus either, but I do see what's happening around us here in New Jersey. There are a lot of people leaving here from whatever this is that's happening, and it makes vPhase, the product of vPhase, so much more important when it comes to people just being able to take care of themselves. We need to be, as a community of people, preventative and proactive about our healthcare, so that we can protect ourselves from things like the coronavirus, or whatever they want to call it at the time that these things happen, so that we can protect ourselves, so that we can build our immune system, so that we can put our bodies in a position to fight, because what's happening around us is very, very real. Regardless of how it started or what it actually is, people are dying, people are passing away from this. So it's definitely important to understand the product that we have in front of us and the information that gets shared on this call, because it's real, it works. My mother is living proof, thank God for that. My mother is living proof of that. So the more people that we can get this to, the more hands that we can get this into, the more people that understand that this is something that they need to make a part of their lifestyle permanently, because it's not something that you should stop doing. It's something that you should continue, just for the simple fact of what Jody just communicated. There are so many toxins all around us, and they're unavoidable at this point in any country. So it's really important to make vPhase a part of your lifestyle, because we know what it does. We know what it allows you to release. All of those things that Jody communicated on his presentation are the things that will be released from your body when you put this into your regular regimen, your normal lifestyle.
Thank you ever so much. That was very, very emotional, Tracie and Regina.
Thank you so much.
And I feel really passionate about what we do, without getting too much into it just now, because we are going to be talking more about the detox at the end, and kind of how we created this. And it's from very, very humble beginnings, basically. And we're having this conversation the other day where we both kind of feel as if that something else is kind of, when we were designing the cleanse, it was like we were kind of conduits for something else. We were just working on autopilot and just following instructions almost. It was kind of a very weird process.
It almost didn't make sense.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah,
it almost didn't make sense. It was kind of just like we went on this path. We just had complete tunnel vision, and we were just focusing on one thing, which was the development of this particular cleanse. Now here we are hearing all these amazing stories, and we're up in the thousands of people now that we've helped all over the world. But I mean, this is obviously the first time that we've been confronted with the coronavirus. And also, just as a side note, I would say that what we have here is a problem of compromised immune systems. That's what we have. And what the cleanse is actually doing is fortifying the immune system. And there are many doctors around at the moment, very, very well-renowned and well-read doctors that are all saying the same thing, which actually is a part of the talk that I'm going to be doing right now, in fact. So I'm going to get into it. Please forgive me. There's a lot of detail. So I've done actually a lot of independent research. So there's a lot of detail. So I'm going to be kind of looking down at my notes quite frequently, just so I don't miss anything out. So I've not committed everything to memory just yet because there's so much information.
And I'm actually going to get out of the way while you do your talk.
Okay. Okay, cool. Get the kettle on.
You know what?
So also I'm just going to start with a disclaimer. Just to say that what I'm doing is I'm presenting an alternate view, so an alternate viewpoint. This is all based on my own independent research. I'm going to reference everybody that I've researched, so you can go away and do your own independent research. I would also say that don't believe anything that I say, not a word of it. Again, go away and do the research for yourself. And I think we will all reach the same or very similar conclusion when it comes to some of the topics that I'm about to talk about. I'm also not a doctor or a physician, but I am, I've got half a brain cell. So I know how to research, and I've been doing this for quite a number of years already. I do have a background of being a researcher as well. Anyway, without further ado, the topic of my talk is, first of all, the coronavirus, specifically surrounding the test, and why I think the coronavirus test is actually quite heavily flawed. So the statistics that we're getting, the global statistics that we're getting, aren't accurate. They're vastly oversexed, over-amplified. So what we're getting here is a lot of media hype surrounding this. And the people that are actually being tested don't necessarily have coronavirus. That is not to say that coronavirus doesn't exist, or it does exist. I'm with Tracie on this one. I'm indecisive about what this is, but I know that it's not what the mainstream narrative is telling us at the moment, which is why, again, I'm urging everybody to actually do their own independent research. Anyway, so if you basically go through the coronavirus test, which obviously Regina has, the test that they're using is called the Coke test. That's what it's called, not Coca-Cola, by the way. It's the Coke test. It's Koch, Coke test. And that was invented by a German bacteriologist who actually discovered the anthrax disease cycle in 1876. And the bacteria responsible for tuberculosis, TB, which is obviously a very aggressive bacterial disease. This is a picture of Robert Koch here in all his finery. Looks a bit like you, Jody, actually, an older Jody maybe. And also in 1882, he also discovered the disease cycle for cholera as well. So that was in 1883 rather. And coincidentally, he also received the Nobel Peace Prize for his discoveries in regards to tuberculosis. And he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1905. So Robert Koch, obviously a very, very clever individual. And we're still using the Koch test to this day. And now what that is what he did was he formulated a set of criteria that can be used to identify the pathogen responsible for a specific disease. Okay? And these criteria came to be known as Koch's postulates, which you can see here on the screen, and there's 4 of them, which I'm going to go through now. So the first postulate is the organism must be regularly associated with the disease and its characteristic lesions. The second is the organism must be isolated from the disease host and grown in a culture. And then you can obviously give it to a healthy animal, for instance, and test the disease or virus on an animal. The disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of the organism is introduced into a healthy, susceptible host, obviously into an animal. You wouldn't do that to a human being. Number 4, the same organism must be re-isolated from the experimentally infected host. And despite all of this, and despite Koch's postulates in the development of microbiology, there are actually severe limitations in this test, which I'm going to explain. And Robert Koch even realized this, and even stated this himself. And the limitations of Koch's criteria are even more obvious when we consider viral diseases, okay? So there we have it. So the limitations start to come into play when we're trying to use this specific test to test for viral diseases, okay? So that is a big one right there. And also viral diseases weren't yet discovered when Koch's postulates were actually invented, okay? So we didn't really know anything about virology at this time. We only had an understanding of bacteria at this time. So the test itself was formulated only to test bacteria, not viruses, because we hadn't yet discovered viruses yet. So this is obviously then a huge indicator of quite a vast problem in using this particular test. A gentleman named Thomas Rivers, who's actually been called the father of modern day virology, wrote, and this is an exact quote from him: "It is unfortunate that so many workers blindly followed the rules, because Koch himself quickly realized that in certain instances, all the conditions could not be met. Thus, in regard to certain diseases, particularly those caused by viruses, the blind adherence to Koch's postulates may act as a hindrance instead of an aid." Okay, so specifically when we're using the Koch's postulates to test for viruses, it actually becomes more of a hindrance than it does an aid. So the question is, why are we using the Koch test to detect whether somebody has a virus when it is clearly an inaccurate method to be detecting viruses? Why are we using this? And obviously, once we open the floor at the end for questions and answers, we can obviously discuss that. I'm sure there are people on here that have an understanding of this at the same time. I've spotted a couple of people that I recognize on here that are pretty smart individuals. So I'm sure they will have some input as well. So what I've come up with is 2 potential outcomes. So one of the potential outcomes is that we're using the test out of complete ignorance. And it's a system within our medical institutions that needs fixing. Okay, so it's completely ignorant. It's an outdated system, obviously vastly outdated, well over 100 years old, which kind of raises the question, how has this gone undetected for so long? Which then leads me on to my second outcome. And again, these are only my opinions. And the second outcome is that the reason as to why we're using Koch's postulates is because then we get to fix all of the statistics. And let's say, for instance, and just for argument's sake, that the coronavirus also has an agenda associated to it, okay? And that agenda could be to bring in new legislation, to bring in new control mechanisms within society. We're living in it right now. We're being told what we can and can't do, and when we can do it and when we can't do it. We're also facing jail time for doing specific things, or fines. Like I would get a fine, for instance, if I went to the beach and went and decided to go swimming, even though I'm out of quarantine at the moment, all right? So the second outcome is that we're using the test as part of an agenda, because then we know it's not accurate, so therefore that we get to make up the rest of the story, and that we can align the rest of the story to the specific agenda whatever that may be. So those are the two outcomes that I've personally, scratched my chin over. And, I've come up with those two specific outcomes, but I'd definitely be interested to hear anybody else's viewpoint and to see if they've got something a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to move on to talk about Dr. Shiva Ayadurai, PhD. He did 4 degrees at MIT, and he also invented the email system at age 14. And I do believe we have a slide there, Matita, if you could just click to the next slide if possible. The next one after that. There we go. And this gentleman is, he was the poster boy for MIT University. So one of the things that you've got to understand about MIT is one of the reasons as to why they've got such a formidable reputation isn't because of their education institution, it's because of the types of people that actually go there. And you get a lot of these genius scientists and genius academics actually going to MIT. And what MIT do is then ride off the back of that publicity. And Dr. Shiva actually says this himself. So this gentleman at the age of 14 invented what we now know as email, which is absolutely astounding. So he was a child genius. And what he's currently doing is he's running for office. So he's very public on the internet. You can find him all over the place. You just have to type his name in and you'll find him all over Google, all over Facebook, all over YouTube, etc. And he's been very, very vocal. And what he's doing at the moment, he's going after Fauci, and obviously Fauci being the sort of the medical arm of the government at the moment in America. And basically Fauci is an institutional scientist. He's been at this for the last 30 or 40 years, and this is not his first rodeo by any means. He was also involved in the scam that they were propagating, where they were saying that HIV naturally then leads to AIDS, which we now know to be completely untrue. So Fauci is a known trickster. Let's just put it that way. He's also going after Hillary Clinton for obvious reasons, and also Bill Gates and the Bill Gates Foundation, as well as Mark Zuckerberg. So what he's doing is he's directly attacking all of the kind of the upper echelons of the globalist regime in America at the moment. This is a direct quote from Dr. Shiva. What's happening at the moment is that we're moving towards a top-down system where everything is controlled by big pharma. Okay, so this is his main topic that he's talking about at the moment, is that based upon the ignorance of the medical institutions, the doctors and nurses, etc., and also the fact that actually big pharma is really struggling at the moment financially, which I'll go on and talk about in a second. What they're doing is kind of consolidating all of their powers, and they're all teaming up with various different institutions. And what they're doing at the moment is trying to dictate, or trying to have big pharma dictate absolutely everything from the top down, so none of us really get to make up our own minds on what we put inside of our bodies and why. They want to dictate that, which is obviously also known as fascism. So this is what he's openly saying at the moment, which you can go and research for yourself and obviously discover the truth of that. So big pharma is really struggling right now financially, and the reason as to why they're struggling is because they're losing a lot of money. And basically to bring a new drug into circulation is really, really expensive, and it takes a really, really long time. And when they get to the FDA testing phase, what's happening is that big pharma now is actually getting a lot of their new drugs denied by the FDA because of the levels of toxicity within them are just incredibly harmful to the body. So through this, big pharma's losing a lot of money in terms of the research that's gone into formulating these new drugs, and obviously all of the various areas in which that whole process has to be monetized, which is incredibly expensive. So they're really, really not having a good time at the moment. So what big pharma are doing at the moment is they're coming up with a solution. And what is the solution, I hear you ask? Well, what they're doing is they're going into vaccinations instead. Okay, so that is their solution. Now, the interesting thing about vaccine companies is that they cannot be sued or held responsible for the damage or side effects caused by the vaccinations. So as long as you accept having this needle put into your body or your child's body, then effectively whatever happens, that is tough titty. That's your own fault, basically, and you can't go after them. And the reason as to why you can't go after them is because they're actually, they have complete immunity because they're protected by the vaccine courts, which were actually brought in by a lot of the Kennedy family, believe it or not, specifically Teddy Kennedy, which again, you can research the vaccine courts, and also Dr. Shiva talks about it as well during some of his talks as well. So at the moment, we're repositioning Big Pharma, and then now we're going into vaccinations, which obviously now asks the question, you know, we have this global pandemic at the moment, and funnily enough, the answer to that pandemic is vaccinations. Now, I'm going back to the two outcomes that I said in terms of why the institutions are using the Koch test. Yeah, one of them was completely innocent. Oops, we made like a 150-year-old mistake. And then the other one is actually part of an agenda. So then we fast forward and we see that Big Pharma is struggling, and now they're repositioning themselves into vaccines. It kind of supports the latter of those two arguments. And I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but that definitely raises an eyebrow, to say the least. And so I'm gonna sort of draw a line through that, and I'm gonna move on quickly to 5G, specifically the dangers of 5G as well. And we've obviously all heard about 5G all over the media. Obviously, there's various different perspectives on 5G, but I'm going to go through some independent research, and I'm also going to reference everything as well, so you can go away and actually do your own research on this also. So I've chosen to reference a gentleman called Mark Steele, and I think we have a lovely picture of him on a slide somewhere, on the next slide, possibly, Matita. And Mark Steele, there he is. This is a really good talk, actually. So if you can look for this on, you just go on Google Mark Steele DV Party UK conference, you can find this. And this is a really, really good talk. And in fact, quite a lot of the content that I'm going to be talking about comes from this specific talk. And Mark Steele is a weapons system head-up display expert, and he's actually one of the leading experts in the entire world. And what he's done, he's broken his military cover. So this gentleman was actually undercover, and he's broken cover to address what he sees as quite a serious issue to do with 5G technology. And now he's being really vocal about it, and he's actually going after a lot of the local authorities in the UK because they're putting up 5G amidst the coronavirus pandemic, when everybody's locked up in their houses. They're putting up 5G towers and transmitters like there's going to be no tomorrow. So he's deeply concerned about this. And he states that 5G technology is unlawful and illegal because any product, regardless of what it is, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a computer, whether it's a cup, whether it's a toothbrush, whether it's a hat, they all have to go through international regulatory standards. They have to meet specific standards in order for that product to be sold. And if they don't, that's obviously a prime indicator to say that they're not safe. Okay, so the thing is with 5G technology is that it's not regulated. So this is absolutely illegal. It's not going through any specific international regulatory procedures, and we're just being sold 5G. It's being pushed through on the basis of lobbying, obviously, people lining other people's pockets to push things through without actually going through the specific regulatory standard measures. And also the fact that 5G is going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. It's going to improve everybody's life and things like that. And we just can't wait. We have to roll it out now. We're in a real hurry as to whatever this agenda is. People seem to be in a real hurry to roll it out. Hence all the pandemonium. So 5G is going to be used for the future. It's going to be used to power things like artificial intelligence, lightning fast download speeds, self-driving cars, etc. There's even talk of farmers having completely automated vehicles that are going to be farming their land and things like that as well. So a lot of jobs that were formerly manned or womaned jobs, where you would have a specific person operating a machine or driving a vehicle, is now actually going to be taken care of by artificial intelligence using 5G as well. So that means obviously a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. But Mark Steele says, in reference to the automation of, like, for instance, the farmland, he says that 5G towers will actually kill all of the farmers' livestock and also any of the pollinators, all of the bees and any other flying creatures such as birds, etc., will be absolutely annihilated with the density of the 5G radiation. What's happening at the moment is that 5G masts and transmitters are actually being very hurriedly installed all over the world in a lot of major cities. And we obviously know that some of these major cities are places like Wuhan in China, where coincidentally the coronavirus breakout was. Also Milan in Italy. We're in Sardinia in Italy, so we've been under these same measures as everybody else in Italy. But we obviously know that in a lot of these places where they're rolling out 5G, there's starting to be a lot of health issues, let's say, in people, and which can obviously be associated to flu-like symptoms. And it's because of the toxicity of the radiation. It has an adverse effect on the cells within the body, and it causes a virus-type reaction, which is another eyebrow raiser, to say the least. Coincidentally, there's been an influx of videos uploaded to social media showing hundreds of dead birds laying in the roads, dead fish and ducks in public lakes, etc. And these are real pictures that have been uploaded to, say, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And I've actually seen and witnessed some of this as well in the UK on other sources of videos, etc., that people have uploaded, which is really scary. Why is this happening? Is there a connection between this and 5G radiation? You can make up your own mind. And also as well, 5G, because it's so dense, it can actually create a 3D model of the inside of all of our homes. So it can actually be used to spy on us, which is, again, something that was mentioned by Mark Steele, who coincidentally helped invent a lot of this technology as well. So I definitely urge everybody to do some background on this. Okay, I think I've got 5 minutes left. So I'm just going to move on quickly. So what 5G is, it is called phase-to-ray technology. Okay, phase-to-ray technology. The first phase-to-ray technology was introduced during World War II, and it was a radar system called Mammoth, and I believe I've got a slide just showing that. If you just go back to the last slide, in fact, just really quickly, that is actually a tree, and this is a screenshot uploaded from a video that I've actually seen in the UK. And to the left of this tree is a 5G transmitter on the side of an LED lamp in the street. And half of the tree is completely dead, whereas the other side of the tree still has some leaves on it. What a coincidence. Just what a coincidence that is. And that's actually from a video uploaded on the internet, which is quite easy to find. But I'll move on onto the phased array technology during World War II was called Mammoth. And what this could actually do, this could see on a radar screen planes leaving UK airstrips and then follow them all the way across the sky en route to Germany or various different locations around Europe during World War II. And what the Germans could then do is they could guide air fleets or weapon systems to then intercept those said aircraft using this phased array technology here. What they could also do as well is they could make pilots sick by using focused phased array technology, which they knew about at the time. And you can find out about that as well if you do some independent research. They could actually pinpoint a specific location where they could actually make, using the phased array technology, firing at that specific location, and they could make the pilots actually really, really sick with radiation sickness as well, which is another quite interesting piece of research. And the most recent battlefield tests also conclude that modern 5G modern 5G phased array technology gives troops cancer. And the most recent study was done by the Israeli army, and saying that actually they conclude that that's what it does, it gives them cancer. It's actually a class 1 cancer-causing radiation. Even the Wi-Fi in our homes, having gone over to 5G, and even now has quite a high risk of causing us cancer. And at the moment, what local authorities are doing, especially in the UK, they're putting 5G transmitters outside people's bedroom windows. And even the manufacturers of the transmitters say they're not safe, not even at several meters. They're not safe to be in close proximity to people. And they're not very big. They're only about the size of a matchbox. However, they have 25 milliwatts in them. And the maximum wattage a full-size 200-pound man can be exposed to is just 1 milliwatt. And that is only for 6 minutes before it starts to cause serious harm. And these things are on 24/7, and they're actually 25 times the recommended number of milliwatts that we can be exposed to, which is pretty scary. So what is happening at the moment in the UK is that these transmitters are on 24/7, and they have completely annihilated birds, flying insects, and also trees, as per the evidence that I've put forward today. So I just wanted to raise a little bit of awareness about those two specific topics, and urge everybody to go away and do their own independent research. This is not by any means to scare anybody. I'm sure we're all scared enough as it is, but just to bring a level of awareness to everybody. And now we'll swiftly move on to the next part of this presentation.
That was awesome, actually. Thank you, everybody. You've all been very patient. So just to recap, so we went over toxins with Jody. He made it very apparent what toxins can do to you, and the symptoms and whatnot. And also a family that's been affected by something, either toxins, radiation, something that has affected them, but there was also an answer to that. And then Charlie, who's gone over what coronavirus testing is and the flaws, and then also 5G radiation and how it can affect us as well, and how we need to protect ourselves. So as you can see, this is a very important conference, and had it not been for us developing vPhase, this wouldn't have come about. So I think it's important that we actually tell you about vPhase and how we got started and why we're here now. So we will go into how vPhase got started. As you can see here, this is a photo of my before and after. I was a published model, and I started to gain a lot of weight. And I didn't know what was happening. I even developed health problems. No gyms, no personal trainers or doctors could actually assist me. Doctors actually recommended injections, and Charlie's actually been there when they've given me an injection in my intramuscle. And also they recommended surgery and prescription medication, nothing else. And so I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I also developed a lump in my left boob and early stages of arthritis. Nothing worked, okay? And so I had to then start to research what was going on with me, because none of the fad diet stuff was working. No phentermine, nor the Hollywood drinks. They weren't even available anymore. So upon my research, I stumbled across intestinal cleansing and the elements that help and assist our bodies flush out everything that's needed, and not just water weight as the typical standard, fasts and diets are these days. So upon my research, I learned that I had to actually do the number one thing that everybody needs to do, which is change my diet. So I went completely vegan immediately, raw vegan. I dropped everything, and I just had juices, and from doing straight pure juices, not store-bought, but pressed, fresh pressed juices. I went into eating vegetables and fruits, and just got my palate ready to take on this lifestyle, because building up to having this vegetables and eating fruits and vegetables that I didn't usually eat, I was picky as hell. So that's something that actually helped me get over that hurdle and into eating correct. So during the time that I was learning how to eat properly, raw fruits and vegetables, I was also learning how to actually cleanse my body, and gathering all the herbs that I needed, which is so many herbs, and also these clays and powders that I just needed to combine and flush my body. And upon doing that, I went and took myself through a hardcore 28-day cleanse. And from that cleanse, before that cleanse, I was 187 pounds. During the cleanse, I started to actually reduce my weight, and it was noticeable. But by the end of this cleanse, I lost 35 pounds, and I also lost the symptoms of early stages of arthritis. The lump in my left boob had almost disappeared. It was really small. And from there, I actually was just shocked, for one. And so, just upon all the work that I did, I needed to figure out, and, in my mind, I was like trying to figure out, this is what's happened to me. I wonder what it could do to help other people and how I could help other people. And this needs to be out there. And I didn't know how to get it out there. I was just a small voice. So I actually brought it to Charlie and told him that, here's my idea. This is what it's done for me. You see what it's done for me physically, mentally, and emotionally, and visually, and this is really expensive. It's hard for people to do this on an everyday. So I need to know how I can get this out to people, and start, helping people with this.
How much did it cost formally as well to actually do the cleanse?
It actually was just a little over $1,000.
And that's just one 28-day cycle.
That was just one cycle. And that does not include the foods. Eating vegan is not expensive, but it's the foods that, it's the products that are. So anyhow, we went on to develop our products, and actually I'll just let Mutita go ahead and play the beginning of our video, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah.
Here you go. load this car up with massive amount of inventory. So with much brainstorming between myself and Charlie, we thought of the name vPhase, which, as you see, our slogan is, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle. So it's a vegan phase. And so what is in our products, if you go to the next slide, in our products, so the first product is aged bentonite clay. It's aged volcanic bentonite clay. It has
magnesium, sodium, iron, potassium, and it absorbs and removes toxins, heavy metals, impurities, chemicals, and radiation.
Radiation, and that's my point.
From the body. So volcanic bentonite clay is, I'm always just absolutely amazed with this substance because of what it does. It is just like a sponge for toxicity. And anything that's bad, any negative ions in the body, it will absorb, which is absolutely incredible. So we use really high grade bentonite clay. We also hydrate it with mineral enriched pH water. So you get it in a jar which is already hydrated, because actually mixing bentonite clay with water, it's a really messy affair. So we do all of this in our manufacturing facility now in Las Vegas.
And bentonite clay is really great for helping impurities as well, even on our skin. If we have acne conditions or a spider bite, mosquito bite, put it on there and it absorbs the poison and reduces the inflammation in your skin as well. So there's a lot of great properties, healing properties that go with bentonite clay, and it's ingestible. Psyllium husk powder.
It's a soluble fiber, and it passes through your digestive system without being completely broken down or absorbed. It basically acts as a, a laxative. That's the one. So that combined with the bentonite clay, both of them combined together, the psyllium husk actually pushes through the digestive system, and at the same time, what is happening is that the bentonite clay is actually absorbing all of the toxicity, the radiation, the heavy metals, etc., on its way through. The average person has about 5 pounds of dehydrated fecal matter in the intestines, also, and anything up to about 20 pounds as well in extreme cases. So that is one of the many things that we're trying to get out of the digestive system, along with those also parasites as well.
Organic herb capsules, excuse me. And there's a variety of organic herb capsules, too many to go through actually, but we have many that are from the land, the sea, and also, as you can see here, there's a list of them. Our 100% organic herb capsules.
All of this is custom formulated. Actually took us forever to custom formulate all of this stuff. And we're actually using a lot of Ayurvedic herbal compounds as well. This is a really short list of some of the herbs that are in the herbal capsules. And the herbs are actually the most expensive part. So just relating back to what we were talking about before in terms of cleansing being expensive, this is exactly why. And we got astragalus root, burdock root, ashwagandha root, yacon root, dandelion root extract, ginger root, rhubarb root, flaxseed, chia seed, milk thistle seed, red miso, which is organic whole soybeans, and sun-dried sea salt, mountain well water, koji spices, chili powder, paprika, sage leaf, and a whole list of others. And you can go on the website and actually check out everything that's in the custom formulated herbal capsules.
Right, and it's all mapped out for you to see where it's come from, and actually the healing properties, you can research them as well.
Yeah.
So during our cleanse, we actually suggest and recommend a raw vegan diet while cleansing, so that you have a much better and healthier experience. I know that a lot of people are, addicted to a lot of foods because of the prescriptions and the process that goes into formulating these foods, and it's not anybody's fault. So we're not a militant company, but we just want to help people starts on the right path. And for anybody that's starting a healthy journey, the most the most helpful way to actually start that journey is to get rid of all the bad toxins and impurities inside you first, and then introduce this healthy lifestyle. Otherwise, you're just putting, the good stuff on top of the bad, and it's not penetrating the bad at all, because there's just this layer of, plaque there, which actually we're going to lead into after this, and we'll actually tell you exactly what kind of plaque we're talking about. All right, so this next slide is going to actually show you what the plaque I was telling you about, which is called mucoid plaque, and I'll let you see it as Mutita goes to the next slide. All right, and you can play that.
So once again, this is mucoid plaque. It does, there you go, there's a really good picture of it. You see all the little knots? That's all the bad toxins and foods that are still stuck in our stomachs, in our intestines, okay? It's still stuck all in there, okay? And it just doesn't, it has a hard time coming out, which is why we need to help our bodies, okay? Doctors don't give you this, okay? Doctors want to give you prescription medications to take care of any illnesses when the problem lies within our bodies, okay?
Okay, so that's your introduction to mucoid plaque. Mucoid plaque is a buildup of the natural mucus lining in our systems, in our intestinal tract systems, leading down to our colon. And over time, eating processed foods, being exposed to toxins, toxic environments, radiation, and just ingesting the sugars and the starchy foods from childhood on up, your mucus lining tends to actually get out of whack, and it builds up over time, and it does not allow any of the right nutrients, vitamins, to penetrate our systems and reintroduce themselves back into our system to help heal ourselves. So point of cleansing is actually to help break down this mucus lining to the natural lining that's supposed to be in our intestines, so that we can continue to start to heal ourselves and live a healthier lifestyle.
Now, most people don't know, but we actually have 3 brains in the body, as we can see here. One of the brains we have in our head, the other is in our heart, and then the other in the gut, okay? The heart actually has a really complex nervous system, and the heart sends more neurons to the brain than what the brain does to the body. And I really feel as if Western medicine is missing out vast portions of education and knowledge when it comes to the real function surrounding the heart, which we haven't got time to go into right now. And then the third brain rather is in the gut, which again, the head brain and the gut brain is actually formed from the same clump of tissue when we're growing as an embryo. So the gut and the brain is made from the same stuff, miraculously. And also, again, the gut has a really complex nervous system which can work together with the brain or independently from the brain. And also the gut regulates a lot of our hormones as well, specifically serotonin, whereas 90% of the body's serotonin is actually produced in the gut. So if we have a very, very toxic gut, that can also affect our mental health as well. So it's vastly, vastly important that we actually bring all of these 3 brains into alignment for many reasons.
All right, so this is, you've already seen mucoid plaque. This is when we actually posted mucoid plaque on our social media platforms, and it went viral. People were just intrigued and shocked and just disgusted at the same time that this actually lies inside of us. And it went so viral that you can see how many views we were getting up in the millions, past 2 million, 3 million, and so on. And this is what took vPhase on to the next level. As you can see in the next slide, also our biggest month was our 4th month in business, actually. And that's the amount that we made that month, which actually helped us to even further develop vPhase and start manufacturing, and we have actually sold kits around the entire world so far. So I think the only place we're missing right now is China. All right, and then as you can see on our page, you know, just how much we skyrocketed up, and people came to us for loads of information and health tips, and this just opened the door and showed us just how we were impacting everybody. And as you can see right here, this is just a handful of the people we've impacted that have left testimonials.
Remember, vPhase Body Cleanse. It's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.
I want to show you guys a pair of pants that I used to fit in. Look at how much bigger they are. Look at this. That's a lot. I've lost about 40 pounds. If you haven't cleansed yet, it works. You gotta do it. You gotta try it. It'll help you. It'll change everything. I'm happy.
I am so excited. Do you want to know why I'm excited? So this is what was waiting for me when I got home. A package. I love getting packages. And this one I'm really excited about because it's from vPhase.
Good morning, vPhase. Let's get it. Good morning. Day 3.
Yay! Day 1 of 28 of my cleanse. I'm super excited.
Here we go. Morning. It's morning.
Good morning. I am saddened to say that this is the last day. Do I always say bon appetit?
Started out at 230 pounds, and as of today, on the 28th day, I'm 198 pounds. So I lost 32 pounds during this transition. I'm 40 years old, had broke my back in a motorcycle accident, torn both of my Achilles in basketball. That's how I ended up gaining all the weight. But as of now, I'm lighter, went back to shooting basketball, back in the gym. Feeling entirely a lot better. So I advise anybody that wants to go on this journey to do it, but be committed mentally and physically, because it's a life-changing thing.
The whole point of this is that it is a health conference. That's what it is. But we also want to bring some awareness in terms of what we're doing in the world at the moment to try and make a difference. This is not a sell. We're not trying to sell products. We're not trying to sell anything at the moment. And I'm going to go into that in a second. But also, just as a side note, we are going to be bringing in other speakers. So every month when we have one of these health conferences, we do want to invite other people to come in and speak. So I do know by some of the introductions that we had is that there are a few people on here that might want one of the speaking slots to try to educate people about what they're doing and bring awareness to that as well. Okay, so what we're wanting to do at the moment is we want to collaborate with as many people as humanly possible. So with obviously what we've mentioned already, and with what we've mentioned about the cleanse, if that's got you curious, we want to collaborate with you guys, and we want to bring as many positive minded people and heart-centered people together as humanly possible. And to collaborate with us to become a global ambassador is completely free, so there's no charge whatsoever. And you do gain access to some preliminary training as well. We do say to everybody that it's obviously a really good idea that you do cleanse. You can obviously see and witness the impact that we've had on so many people. So we've got 100% conviction in what we're doing. We know that it works. And we know that this cleanse is actually really, really potent. So this is where we want to take you. First of all, we want to collaborate with you guys, and this is how we want to support you. And then obviously join our community and actually keep this message going as well. So if anybody is interested in doing any of this, then I would urge you now to reach out to the person that invited you to this conference, and they can take you through the steps to get started. And as I say, it is completely free at this stage, so there's no price whatsoever. Anybody that does have various areas of expertise, we definitely want to hear from you guys. And you know, obviously, if what you say resonates with us and we feel it'd be a good to have you as a guest speaker in the health conference, then that's what will happen, and you'll get a chance to say your bit as well and share your message.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I know it's gone over a little bit longer, but you know, sometimes you can't stop the good forces that happen, okay? And I appreciate every last guest that came on here. Looking forward to future speakers. And if you're interested in speaking on our platform, on the next event that we have, the next International Health Conference, please do so. Please reach out to the person that invited you so that they can connect you with us, and we can go on from there.
Also, just to mention as well to everybody, because it's free to become an affiliate, obviously there's no obligation at all.
Yeah.
But if you do reach out to the person that invited you, they can send you their affiliate link. If you do want to do a cleanse at some point and just use your own affiliate link, that means you get 20% off. Even if it's a sale price, you get an extra 20% off. So, you know, it's worth doing, you know, regardless of what you want to do with vPhase. It's definitely worth doing that to get further discounts and stuff like that.
And let's heal the world.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming. You're more than welcome to be attending the next one. And also, let's talk about how we can collab and put all of our wonderful minds together. Much love to everyone.
Bye, everybody. We love you.